Ah, as always, we test sound before we gets into it. Listen. First, let's test sound. Let's test sound. Let's test sound. Let us test sound. Your channel. Talking. Your channel. Sheed, he is here. Oh, Sheed, we here. Appreciate you as always, man. God dang, bro. I didn't even start the stream yet. Jesus. Yeah, that haven't started. Yeah, I just started the stream. You're here before I am. God dang. That is a big bug. Turn on the little bug light here. Yeah, dang, that's a big one. Oh. A lot of nature. Spring has sprung in southeast Georgia. Sheed, appreciate you as always. Did you get the link to get refund back from BitConnect? Kiana, what's up, bro? As always, appreciate you, man. Nah, I didn't. I haven't even heard about it at all. Not at all. I mean, damn, what would I get? I think I put like $1,000 in there at one point. But I sold those coins though. So, anyways, let's get into it. I haven't coded for a while. Lord forgive me for I have sinned. Yeah, send it to me, man. If you don't have my number, Dave does. Yeah, but you can always hit me up. I hope everything's going well with you, bro. It's been a while for sure. Keanu's definitely a cool dude, one of my friends. When I did a lot more stuff in WhatsApp, kind of had to move away from that to refocus on stuff. I talked about that in a video a while back. All right, so minimum viable product. And just to explain, I mean, in my job, I do like email stuff. Well, really, I do monitoring right now, but I will have to do some email stuff eventually. And one of the things that has come up is like mail load and stuff like that. And I'm like looking at it, I'm like, well, I could probably make something, but I don't know what it is. But they don't use that. They don't use me for that. So I leave it alone. I just don't say nothing. And but you know how like as like a coder or a person that is known to solve, or a person that always feels the need to solve problems, you always trying to I'm glad you're doing well, Keanu. You always try to find a way to solve a problem that comes up. So somebody says, hey, listen, we're having X, Y, and Z problem. And be like, well, I'm an X, Y, and Z solver. So it is what it is. But it's just something that's been kind of annoying me. And I was just like, you know what, man, whether they want it or not, I'm going to do it. If anything, for myself. And I haven't coded in a while. I did a lot of stuff in the workshop. Talked to an electrician the other day about getting the workshop finished out and getting electricity ran out there so I could do more work in there. And then also talk to, or not talk to, but found what I want to do for flooring in there as well. I'm going to just get some sheet vinyl and just adhere it to the floor. And that'll probably be the best bet for me, if anything. So going through that, just waiting on that type of stuff. I also want to get some dogs, and that's going to be expensive, but I may or may not do it. I always try to keep a little money just in case, your job gets froggy, wants to leave from you. So I always try to keep like a little something on for myself, or to the side, I should say. Hold on. You can die. All right. Cool. I think I got it. So I always try to keep a little something ready, at least like 2 or 3 months, even if it's just in assets and I got to sell stuff off. And whatever reason, stuff always happens to me when it's like not the best time. So, or not the best time in the markets. But what always happens, thankfully, is I've always found a way to make the money or have that money ready to go. But besides all that, let's just thinking about that. Besides all that, let's light a candle. Today we got Bath and Body Works, the White Barn collection, sun-drenched linen. And by today, I mean tonight. And what we're going to do is create an MVC, a minimal, or MVP, a minimal viable product. This right now will be in the form of a Node.js script. There won't be too much in terms of like prepping it for the, like a full-on app or anything like that. It won't be something that'll be running constantly or an API connected to it or an API made for it. Eventually, I do want it to get to that if it passes snuff, which I don't think it will. There'll always be something. And then, of course, the time to code it is another thing. So when you're working with like bigger projects or projects that require you to have certain deliverables, a lot of people, what they'll do, this is kind of sad, but they'll go with like the canned thing, and then the canned thing just fucking sucks, and then you have to end up coding the shit out of that just to get that working. Richard Dixon, my boy, yeah, man, spent the weekend with Richard Dixon, and yeah, we had, yeah, shit went down. Who was fucking with these hoes? So no, that was fun, man. That was fun. I was about to text you earlier today too, be like, "Yo, what's up?" But I knew you'd probably show up to the stream, so I knew I'd be able to get a chance to say hi, man. But Richard, we had that stream a couple weeks ago, so we did celebrate. I don't think I did enough for celebration. Like I paid for like dinner, and that was about it. Like I didn't give him no money for the hoe, none of that shit. I really felt kind of bad about that after the fact. I was like, God dang, I was stingy as fuck. But I apologize for that, but it was a good time altogether, man. And we was out there, and I know it was fun, man. It was fun. I wish you would have met up with my other homeboy, but other stuff happened with him and his fam. Nothing serious, of course, but or thankfully, but yeah, that was a good time, man. That was definitely a good time. But yeah, so we're making a minimum viable product or MVP, and usually, I did put an article in the. What's it called? Let's see here. No, don't have it. Give me a sec. Let me find it. I did put an article in the description of minimum viable product. I just want to say like MVC, which is like a coding paradigm, if you will, or design paradigm. It's model view controller. But what is an MVP really, and what an MVP really is, and how you can benefit from it. The term MVP was coined and defined by Frank Robinson and popularized by Steve Blank and Eric Ries, whatever. A popular definition is the following: the minimum viable product is a product with just enough features to satisfy early customers and to provide feedback for future development. If you analyze this definition, you'll see three major components there. One, an MVP provides just enough features. An MVP satisfies early customers. An MVP enables feedback for future development. So what we're going to do is kind of answer some of those pieces, or first start out with like, what is the purpose of this? What is the goal? And what we're trying to achieve in the long run. It's all good. I ain't tripping. You going on, people? Going on, people. We preach. We hear peace, bro. Sorry, I was just reading the chat. But with minimum viable product, essentially, I'll just write a script that kind of fakes all of the data being produced and doesn't really send emails. But what it'll do is it will send emails eventually, or it'll eventually send emails, but it'll act like it's sending emails. And then eventually what I want it to do is to also check emails. So I don't want to give myself a time limit because I don't think I'm that good to get it done in like, say, 2 hours, 3 hours or something like that for all those features. I wanted to get it to a point where it runs, generates this data, and then gives us a couple cool things that we can do to make it easy to run. So making it, my first goal is to make it user-friendly. And with making it user friendly, that means doing things like, this is better. By making it user friendly, that'll be doing things like, command line, having a help menu or something like that. Or, what are the different triggers, having a to and from, and maybe even a message subject if you want to put that in there. And then eventually it'll go to where we have a web interface that could be in front of it, if we ever get to that point. A web interface that could be in front of it, or we could use something like Inquire. I think it's Inquire. Yeah, Inquire, where command line wise, you can actually start to. Let me use this here. Oop, got some. Shit. Close too much. Here we go. All right, minimum viable product. What we want to do. And peace to brother Gold Professor too. He hits me up every so often. Had me join the chat. Talked a little bit. I think Sheed was there. Yeah, Sheed was there. A couple other people, but it's always good to chop with the brothers outside of YouTube and politic, and just talk about what we want to do and what we feel is right or wrong with the space, and that's always a good conversation to have. What did I want to do here? Oh, okay. So npm js. All right. I think it's Inquirer. Collection of common interactive command line user interfaces. So what's nice about this, and you should see a GIF here pretty soon, but you can actually build out whole lists with this thing. So for instance, with this one, weird. So for instance, this one here, you could see where you have node list, and whatever you run your program, or you run your program, and then you can actually make choices within it using a command line interface. You can use radio buttons, checkboxes. You can actually have numbered selections. You can even have things like, if you have show diff, and then you can put your answers in, so you can have almost like a test if you wanted to. Here we can see where this is checkboxes. So you're making pizza. So select your toppings, and then what are your other toppings thereafter. And you can also have different loops and functions that run based off of this stuff. I used it quite a bit with the Growbox project. And in the Growbox project, I used it to as a primer script to set things up for your Growbox tool, or your Growbox, whatever the tool was, whether it be stem, pedal, soil, or anything else like that. But I haven't used it in a while, but this will be something that comes much later on. This is like polishing it up. Right now, what we're going to be basically doing for our MVC, we're just going to be doing script.js. So we'll do like node script.js. And then we'll do like F for from, and then email at, and then T for to, and then email at b.com. And then maybe we'll have like different commands, right? So like you have like a S, or even a capital S, an H for help, a T for type, like whether it's encrypted or non-encrypted, or like an E for that, right? For encrypted or non-encrypted. So you'll have all these different things. The gynocracy. I spelled out she. So you'll have all different type of things that would that you can actually use and trigger with this. All of a sudden, my nose got like really stuffy today, but it was like after this afternoon here, I had to take my break, and it was like, my nose got like super stuffy. Alrighty, so with that being said, let's get this first part working, right? So, oh, actually, let's get our project defined. Oh, sudo dash. Oh, all right. So I'm a CD. I am going to use screen. Set up our environment here. So I'm a CD to opt. All right. So EFF.org. I don't know what the hell that is. Wait. Ooh. Wait, what is that? Oh, Certbot. Okay. Sometimes you gotta watch that stuff, man. Like it's like, oh man, did my server get hacked? What the hell is EFF.org? But it's Certbot. All right, so clear, and then we're gonna do git clone. I haven't used this computer or actually this system, this VM in a while, so it would be a good time to update. But I don't want to go through all that right now. So git clone. I already made a repo. This repo is available online at github.com/treestar systems. Pressing the envelope. I like the name of it. It's like I made it up because it's like pressure bust pipes, pressing the envelope. There's an email, and then that is known as an envelope because you're sending mail, but it's electronic. So it's not really an envelope, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? But one thing we can do eventually is with this, is maybe even add like special headers and stuff like that, which would be kind of cool. So we'll go and press in the envelope, clear. That's right. And then I think we got to do a npm init -y. I think it is npm init -y. All right. All right, so cool. We got our package.json. So cat package. All right, cool. So then, all right, so that's cool. So now what I want to do is steal stuff from my old project. I mean, there's not much you got to like do with this per se, but one of the first things we want to do is actually we'll make a directory called MVP, and this will house our rough code here. We'll also make a directory called test. And as you guys know, in the past, trash, I should say. In the past, I have created a boilerplate script as well to do all this for me. But with something like this, that boilerplate script is for like whole apps, and I'm not doing anything like that, nor do I want anything robust at the moment. So we're just gonna do something that's pretty quick and easy here, or not quick and easy, but yeah, quick and easy and lightweight, nothing too serious. We do have to edit our .getignore file. Kind of feels good to get back to like coding and shit. Oh man, I think it's trash. That's how we have to do it for a getignore. And then there's the bad part about it where it's just like I haven't done this in. Man, you know how you gotta really work those muscles, man. Because there's just stuff I have forgotten how to do. All right, so it's trash. So leading. Right, cool. I do want. Oh, where is some of my stuff here? Post receive gamer, and that's just like one of the last projects that I worked on was the gamer project. So we're gonna use that getignore file and put some of our custom stuff in there. Take that out. Storage trash, system conf, system var, view public downloads. All right, cool. So that. All right, so that's if I come up with the view stuff here. And guys, I'll be switching back and forth to tabs. So if I'm a little bit late on some of the chat stuff, excuse me. That's for those that are watching. I appreciate the watches, the likes, and everything, guys. I'm here. Like, it helps me because this is like me getting back, from my little hiatus from coding. Man, it's been a couple months since I've really done like a coding stream, and I haven't done much outside of that for myself. So really, you guys are seeing me really get back into coding right now, outside of work, because you'll get these like environments that they put you in, and then you have to like make something beautiful out of just shit. And this one environment that I'm working on, sadly, excuse me, this one environment that I'm working on is extremely annoying. Well, not extremely annoying. I'm getting used to it. So at first it was extremely annoying, but now that I've gotten kind of used to it, I'm just like, I'm a little bit better at it. Give me a sec. Let me mute myself here. Excuse me, I had to blow my nose. That's so annoying when you just have like it's just like one nostril. Um, but yeah, you work in these systems, and these systems are not like so much restrictive, but they're just not as robust as some other systems, or building your own custom playground sandbox environment. It's a sandbox, but it's not a sandbox where you have everything at your disposal and you could bring in other things. You have everything that they give you at your disposal, so you're a little bit limited. And then you're supposed to make that work, doing API calls, and then trying to make it work in an asynchronous fashion when needed, or work with other tools and stuff like that. So it's been kind of annoying with that. I have made it work, and I've actually the experience is good. And I know I'm being a complainer and whiner here, but the experience is good because now you're working with more restrictive systems that you don't have, full on access, and you have to work with your colleagues and other people, and get to a point where you're like, okay, well, I need this, and this, and then you have to communicate that properly to that other person, because they don't like calls, they don't like long conversations. They like to give me the information I need, and I can go back to listening to music while I figure out the other problem or my piece of work or something like that. So you have to deal with things like that. Um, and there's good and bad to it. The good stuff is that the good stuff I don't totally see. Oh, I see it, but then I can't totally appreciate it yet because you're in the thick of it and you're dealing with it. And so sometimes you just like you feel bitter about certain things, man. And like really you should not have that mindset. And I really have to check myself on a lot of time, on a lot of at a lot of points, and then take in the information from other people, in terms of learning and getting the experience with working with people, because now I can like update my resume. Hopefully, I don't have to go find another job, but you can update your resume and say things like, okay, I've worked with this team on this size project with this much in terms of mail flow and messages and all this other stuff. And I worked with the monitoring and all this other stuff. And then if I could do something like this, I could say, hey, listen, I started working on load testing and all types of other stuff. All right. So one thing we are going to do, I'm just looking at some old code on the other screen, the other screen. So let's look at our service.js. And all right, let's pull that in. And first we'll work on some of the triggers, right? Help menu and all that other stuff. All right, so we're going to name this pressing the envelope. Yes. Let me see. All right, cool. All right. All right, to do. And fuck all that. Take that note out. All right. So what is our purpose here? Just define that. Initial MVC to generate emails for mail system testing. Load testing. What do we want to do with this first one here? First, we want to take input. Oh, there we go. Define triggers. Take input from triggers. Generate. Oh no. Define mail box count structure. So this like define mailbox account object structure, that's going to be like where we have our mailbox and we define, or we have each, like, you know, our predefined mailboxes, and we supply that, and we may even have a trigger that says, hey, you know, take this file, take that file, so on and so forth. But yeah, I'll probably do something like that. But what we'll do is we'll have it, and again, you know, I'm just thinking about this and trying to figure it all out as I'm going along. But one thing we'll do is take in the information for, or we'll predefine, we'll have it defined in a JSON file, probably with a .js or any type of text file, but as long as you can read it as a JSON file. If it's Node.js, it should be able to read it, you know, as like raw JSON as opposed to quoted JSON or quoted JSON string. Once we take that, then we could, once we define that structure, in that structure, it'll tell us how we're going to authenticate with that server or that mail account. So whether it be IMAP, HTTP, or an API call for things like Microsoft 365 or Google, IMAP for older systems. And when I say IMAP, meaning that we can also check the email as well. That's one thing. And defining things like, okay, how do we check? How do we send email, and how do we check? And defining all those things. Just thinking about the things that I have to go through on a regular basis. Helmet Chili, peace to you too, brother. Appreciate you joining. Ooh, let's move this candle over a little bit. So defining the mailbox account structure. So like I'm already envisioning it's just going to be a big JSON object. In that JSON object, I'll probably write a for loop to iterate through it, or a for in loop. Yeah, for in loop, or a for of. See, like it's been a second. So for in or for of loop, I think it's a for in. If I do a for in loop, then I could say, yeah, for in loop should be allow me to iterate through a JSON object. And then I'll look for, you know, the name or something like that. And that'll be defined in the file. So from, and then I could put like mail provider 2, mail provider 3, and then have it as like a human readable name, and that'll be defined in a JSON file outside of this application. So we could do that. Control AC. Also learning new things like, oh, Helmet Chili, I appreciate you, man. Glad you're here too, bro. Trying to kind of get back into the low coding stuff. Oof, this light is kind of on the bright side. I don't know. Maybe I should have done this with the nasal congestion, but kind of wanted to get back into coding here. Pressing envelope. MVP. All right, so we might have a mail accounts at JSON. And in this, I'll define my mail accounts. And y'all know I like to use Nano. So we could start off with 3 mail accounts. On a study break here, and this is motivation. What are you studying, man? What's it called? What language or what part of IT are you studying, or what are you studying? Period. Let me know, bro. No, man. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you. And then here we might have like name, and then in this name it might be like 365. And we should of course always define 1 first and then go from there, but I want to do some testing with this. So and it'd be a good idea to like check these names to see if there's like any duplicates or something like that. That would be good to do, like do a pre-check. We like file include file has duplicate names or something like that. That may or may not be a big thing, because when you're searching for something through JSON, a JSON object, you can have a JSON object of JSON objects or a nested JSON object, and that could have a lot of different records or objects within it, and those objects can have pretty much all the same data except for like one thing for the key or the value. The only problem is when you're searching through it, and then does your loop find the first one, the second one, the third one, all of them? Like, what does it return? And what do you want your loop to do? And then also, like, for instance, if I have my name as Office 365 for the first one, and the sender and the receiver, okay, is that okay? Do I want to have the same thing? Do I have certain functions? Also, one thing you can do is with your JSON object. I'm gonna answer this in a second, or look at this in a second. With your JSON object, one thing you can do is also have functions. So, for instance, I could have like sender function, and that can actually be function name and then parameter 1, and you could actually have that as a function, and that would actually work no problem. And you can actually address that. You could call that JSON object and it will call that function for you. So we'll actually probably be doing some stuff like that, especially for things like Office 365, which we have to use the Graph API to send and receive emails. If you can't use things like XOAuth2 and shit like that. Okay, web development on CSS now. Had to go over things a few times. Damn. Hello. Yo, CSS. I mean, CSS is a mug. Sorry. I didn't mute this time. Sorry about that. Yeah, CSS is a mug. There's a lot in CSS and what you can do. And wait till you get to like CSS and DOM manipulation, or DOM manipulating CSS code with JavaScript and stuff like that. That's more advanced stuff, I would say. And it's kind of like not obscure, but it's nice to know that you can do that on the fly, and you don't have to go back and change your CSS, or you can handle your CSS in a programmatic way. So, thinking out this data structure helps me a little bit, because then I'm like, okay, Gmail. So Office 365, Gmail. You might have a provider like Yahoo or something like that, right? So internet. I use like mail.com or something like that. That's what I'm thinking. All right, so save that file. And what we're going to do is we're going to define triggers. So FS and FS sync, core.js, we won't be using that. Child process, we won't be using any of these right now. Minimist, we will be using that. So let's go ahead and do a cd to our root directory, and we can probably do this from the regular directory too, but we're going to do, oh man, what is the command to install npm projects? Npm npmi, and then we're going to do minimist and then dash save. With the dash save, it will, I am so glad I'm getting back into this. Thank you so much, guys, for listening, and welcome. We're back. It's like, it's part of it, just getting the noggin jogging. Yeah. All right, so Minimus save. Let's see if this was right. All right, it's cool. Minimus is installed. Now we can start calling it into our project. One thing I am going to borrow, and this is, I'm borrowing stuff from the Gamer GAMR repo. Yes, I will be getting back to that. There are some things that I'm thinking about, but I wanted to get that workshop done first. But this is a good way to get back into stuff. In that, we do have a file called service.js, and that uses the minimus, uses this package, or package, it's like these names I'm like blanking on, but it uses the minimus package or module. That's what it is, module. And then with that module, I can do things like if it's K, or if it's this, or if it's that, then I can actually that's so I can write if statements based on the trigger. So for instance, argvk. So that package gets called by argv, and then we're going to do process argv.slice2, and that takes that essentially all those triggers will be an array, and then with that array I can do things like, okay, what is my file? Or with that array, it iterates through that array and finds whatever that trigger is. So if it's argv.k, it's going to look for k in that array and then find what that value is. And in this case, that value would be like if I do a -f or something like that as a trigger for my script, it will, cool, there's nothing else. If I do a -f for as a trigger for my script, then it'll get the value. So that -f will be something like from this address or something like that, as an email address, but we'll do that. AB Media 83. Appreciate you, man. I haven't seen you around before. I hope you're not like one of my nephews, like ghost accounts. My nephew's got like 50 ghost accounts and stuff like that. He needs that type of stuff. He'd be creeping on these YouTube streets. But yeah, let's actually define. Let's define our triggers, right? So triggers -f would be from address, from email address. -t would be to email address. -e would be if we're going to do like encryption. We could do -j for JSON file. JSON file with email. From email address. We won't be actually having the address in here. That will have to be defined in the file. We could do it later on where we don't have to define a file. And like one thing I will actually look at is if we could do a double, like a double trigger. So for instance, we have dash F, but what if we have like a dash FR, or maybe even a dash capital F would be nice. Maybe we could do that, and that'll be a little bit easier. But I will test both. So uh, from email, email, from email. Name of along Lang, sorry about that. Grizzly, long time no see, man. Always a work of art to see both your code and coding practices. Stay blessed, bro, and keep up the good work. Damn, bro, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of personal content, mindset content, uh, manosphere esque content, talking about relationship stuff and black men in the community. But really been wanting to scratch this itch and getting back into it. So you guys can see we can struggle together as we write code. So name of account, name of account, name of account in JSON file, and I'll figure out something better for that. And then what we'll do is we'll have a capital T to email address. So we'll have a capital T and a lowercase t, or a capital F and lowercase f, and we'll see how that actually works. I've never done this one before, so that'd be good. This way we can actually do it on the fly and just do everything all in from the command line. So then we can even have this running on maybe a cron job or something like that. Oh, by the way, AB Media 83 is a regular on BGS's channel. Shout out to you again, man, and peace to the chat. Oh, okay, AB Media 3. Yeah, no, it wasn't really calling into question or anything like that. Not that you're saying that, but I just never seen you before, so I apologize, man, and probably never seen you in the chat or anything like that. I still, of course, watch BGS's content, but a lot of times I watch Ed, and because his stuff is just funny, and like I put it on 2X, which is even crazier when you listen to him. And then Grinch, what's it called? Sometimes Angry Man, not too often. And then I watch some of the female channels like that woman Dee Dee, and I think it's like Dee Dee Speaks or something like that. Pink Book Lessons. I watch that stuff. But sometimes you really get lost in that type of stuff, man, and you really just start to. It puts a bad taste in your mouth. And I was talking to a friend about that this past weekend. Maybe I'll put that in the video. But back to coding. So we could do subject dash B. What we might do here is have our capitalized ones lower than our lowercase ones. B for B. And we might want to do like body, inline body. And we're going to probably do like a body from the body file. So like we'll take like a file as an input, or the directory for a file, and some other stuff. So I think this is a good start. This is probably too much for an MVC. Actually, or MVP. There's never too much for an MVP, I would say. Correcting myself here, because it's, if we go back to the definition here, MVP is three things. An MVP provides just enough features. An MVP satisfies early customers. So this might be something that an early customer, they want all these things. They want like all these triggers to work, and they want them to work properly with also checking for duplicates and other things. And then once all that's done, an MVP enables feedback for future development, right? And so those are the important things, and that's what we're going to focus on, right? So let's see here. So first off, let's do we might have a function here. So function, what we're going to call this, search JSON. Search JSON. Yeah, search JSON. Search JSON. Search JSON. Search accounts. And sometimes even with an MV, like depending on how fast you have to code this, I've seen where a friend of mine, he talked to me about it in terms of like a project that he had to work on for an interview. Actually, he had to code a whole project in like one weekend. So sometimes you really can't get caught up on a lot of this stuff in terms of names, little features, bugs. These things will be tested. But if anything, the biggest thing is to get something out there and then go from there. And once you get that minimum viable product out, then you could start looking at making improvements. Going back to a video I did a while back, is just iterate, iterate, iterate. So you're always going to have to go over this stuff. It will never be quote unquote perfect. There will always be some bug that you find or something like that. And then once it's quote unquote perfect or ready for release, then there's going to be another feature that you want that needs to be added for whatever reason, So so this is going to take in file. File. And yeah, it takes in file, and then it should also take in search for account, should take in file, and then also take in search string, right? Search for account name. All right. So search string. And I don't want to make these like vague or obscure or anything like that. So, vague. So, obscure is fine. Either word. I want to make it to be where it's like very descriptive. Name of JSON file. Okay, body file, encryption, yes or no. And that could take like Y or N, and then we would do things like based off of that, like, okay, do you want to do encryption, yes or no, or whatever. We take in all this stuff, and then we got to figure out how we're going to like write this in terms of what order of operations. Like, okay, what do we do with our function? How is that function going to be presented, so on and so forth. All right, so from email address to email address. And what we'll do is we will do things like this. So for inline, subject, cool. And this right here, we'll take the file and we're going to search. We're going to do we're going to search through that file. One thing we can do is later on, like, to do check, validate JSON file. Let's make this a multi-line to do. This is me being too pretty sometimes. OCD kicking in, baby. Validate JSON file. Validate email string. No. No, we don't have to validate email string in this because there is no email string. All right, cool. So there's arg, and then what we're going to do is F and T. We might have like a main function. Essentially, we always should have a function that runs, that takes in all this information. So in other languages, you probably have like a def main or something like that. And I'm not a Python guy, so our names are a little bit more descriptive. Essentially, they're just long ass sentences with no spaces and a whole bunch of capital letters in between. Probably make an English teacher cringe or a grammar specialist cringe. So function, we're gonna do one of the main things we're gonna do. So like we'll just do main. Huh. Function. All right, so function, and we should, what should we name this function? Essentially, okay, let's talk through it. So this function, what it's going to do, it's always going to run, right? So we're always going to run this function at the end. In fact, we could probably have it run as an anonymous function to where it always runs with the script. That might be good. You could probably do something like that. And what we'll do is with that anonymous function, it will do something like, Tom Webb. Tom, how, Tom, am I gonna do this project to impress my team with working on your stuff? All right, cool. We could probably work on it. Damn, we're an hour in and I haven't done shit. Yeah, so it's a background function. You could say it's a background function, but it's a main function. Hello, sir. Can you help me with an issue I'm having with PHP _ self code not working? Love the stream. You the man. Well, listen, if you want to get on the stream, let's probably do it at the 9:30 mark, if anything. You could probably do it at the 9:30 Eastern mark, and just reach out to me and in the chat here, and I'll drop the link, and you could come up and we could do a what's it called? We can do a coding session. We're probably gonna have to use some type of like shared online REPL or something like that. I don't know. But let me know. You could probably use like CodePen if you want. CodePen will probably work. So if you send me a CodePen link, we could probably work on that. Another thing that's nice is that if you could use something like not just CodePen, but JS Fiddle, but that's for JavaScript mostly. So you're using PHP. But yeah, man. Yeah, we can get that done in probably 9:30 or so. Actually, let's make it 9:45. Give me a little bit more time to actually work through this code and get through some of these blocks here. But yeah, so it's a background function. Not so much a background, not just a background function. It's a main function. With an anonymous function, all it means is that it has no name to it. Therefore, it'll run, but you can't really call it again. So, for instance, if I have a named function, I can always call its name. But how can I call somebody that doesn't have a name? You know, it's just like that person over there. And then it's like a group of people, aka all these people are your functions. And none of these functions are that person already there. I like VS Code. I do not like VS Code. I do not work in VS Code. VS Code, I don't have. It's not my preference. And when I say I don't like VS Code, it's just because that's just not my preference. But yeah, Tom, let me know. Go from there. Yeah, a lambda expression. Yeah, you can look at it like that. Yeah, because the lambda expression is like, you just push code in there and then it already has like it is a function itself, right? So the lambda expression is a function, and then you just put code in there, and in that code could be other functions, which is kind of how JavaScript works, anyways, because JavaScript itself is one big ass function. When you like do any JavaScript code, it's just a function that executes stuff within itself. That's its lexical scope. That's wild. I'm about to read headfirst PHP and MySQL book, and the topic comes up. Rotted. Helmet chili rotted. I love that. I love lambda expressions. It saves a lot of time. Yeah, it saves a lot of time in terms of scaffolding too, because it's just like, hey, this is the environment in which it runs in. Make your code work in that environment. Dump it in there, and usually that environment's fairly flexible, and you can do a lot of things to actually make it work. And this is also why I can't get past anything besides my OCD. Um, besides my OCD in terms of like naming damn functions. Anyways, that's me. But like in this function, we'll have it run a couple different things. So I don't want to name it, so we're just gonna have it down here. Uh, oops. Rotted. My boy said rotted. All right, so damn, how do you print stuff? Console.log. Whatever argvf is, the value of argvf. Cool. And that's pretty much it. Like, and we take out this function here. All right. And we'll just do a whole bunch of those and just copy and paste them. This is a Node.js script. So if I wanted to run this as a Node script itself without having this, I would have to do chmod and make it executable, or I could just run Node and then the actual script name. As an MVC, I might just do that there. Node, press -F, and the first name is going to be rotted. All right. Node, no do is not found, which is not, it doesn't exist. All right, cool. If unexpected token, if. Oh, I did my function wrong. So if, oh yeah, so I have to do it like this, and I could do an arrow function. Boy, see how, bro, this is why you got to do this shit on a regular basis. Jesus. Jesus. That's how you write an anonymous function. And that's like an anonymous arrow function, by the way. So that's a whole nother deal. All right, cool. So we can see rotted gets printed out at the bottom here. Okay, some of y'all can see that. Oh, hold on. Let me. Okay. We could do X. Oh shoot. Oh man. Oh man, screen used by root. What's the password? I don't have no password. Oh, and root doesn't have a fucking password, you piece of shit. Oh my god. Yo, get the fuck. Oh, great. I done fucked myself. All right. Let me start another session. Forgot how to like close windows. And like I also have to start learning like freaking Tmux, which is another freaking not beast, but it's another like terminal emulator of sorts. All right, cool. Let me just enter this. And sudo -i. All right. -ls.
Detached. What is the newest one? Dang, I got screen sessions open from 2019 in here. Woo! What's the uptime on this box? The uptime is 954 days on this box. Oh my god. Dang, 954 days. Nice. I don't do much on here anyway. Not as much as I used to, I should say. All right, so screen and dash, I think it's D. All right, detached. Right. Okay. All right, close this out. Sorry, guys, before I have screwed myself. I blame it on Tom. He had me thinking about PHP. It's all his fault. Anyways, all right, so I want to split this horizontally. And you know what? Let's just remove my face because that's not important. I'm not important here. You are. 0. All right, so we have our code. We have our code to the right side and our execution to the left. But let's switch that because I don't like it. All right, cool. Yeah, and y'all know I'll be struggle streaming. I have not done anything to. I've been spending money everywhere else, and I want to spend $7,000 on dogs, possibly this coming weekend. Ugh, excuse me. All right, so with this, we can see that it takes in our dash F, and we can even do things like our dash T and console log dash T. And for that, what we'll do is rawtit dash T will be bumbaclot. Dogs, I am looking for a Boer bull. I already have like 2 in Orlando that I've been looking at, but they charging like $6,200 a piece for those, and that was like 2 weeks ago. Then this last week they said $5,100. So if they keep them and I wait 2 weeks, I might get them for a little bit less. We'll see. So we'll see for that. But I want a Boer bull. I want like 2 of them. There's 2 females though, is what I see over there, and I want a male and a female, but 2 females wouldn't be bad. I don't plan on doing any breeding right now. But definitely want two doggos. All right, so in this case, Rotted and Bumbleclot. All right, so we got Rotted and Bumbleclot printed out, so that's good. So we're capturing information. So now we know we can capture information. We could do things like, okay, let's inspect the information that we're capturing, right? Like, I want to pipe all of this into a function, right? So and have that addressed appropriately. Yeah, those are nice, real nice dogs. And don't you guys go in like, it's like Petland South Orlando. See if they still got them. I looked earlier today. I've been checking on like every day. So available puppies. And Boer Bull. Yeah, I want these 2. So this is a blue fawn, and I don't know what they call this one. Just brown, I guess, sandy brown or something like that. Beautiful dogs, beautiful dogs. Female red. Okay, I guess they call it red. I've seen a different color for red. It's like a little bit darker, but beautiful. Both are beautiful dogs. I've already visited them, or excuse me, paid a visit. But they get huge. They get huge. Oh man, nice picture. I like this one. They get freaking huge. Like they get, usually on the small side, they'll get to about ooh man, what do they call that? They'll get to about 170 pounds on the small side, and then up to about 200 pounds. That's a cool picture. I like that one. Let's look at it here. This guy's got a YouTube video. Molly the boer bull, but like massive dog, and this is a female. Yeah, this is a female. Like, look how big that dog is, and I'm sure that guy's at least, five something. He doesn't look too tall. He's probably got to be at all of 5'5". You know, I wouldn't say he's like a 6 foot or anything, but that dog is. Look at the chest on that bitch. Oh man. Oh man, that dog, bro. I need that. I need that in my life. But yeah, so that's what I'm looking for. But yeah, I'll probably get like two of those, and it's gonna cost like $1,600 a piece to train them. That's another thing. A local guy does the training around here. That dog will eat you out of house and home. Yeah, bro. I already like peeped the price on like feeding a dog like that, especially getting two of them. That's gonna be pricey. That's gonna be at least 300 plus per month for the dog alone for like two of them, and that's on the low side. Keeping them healthy and everything else like that. Feeding them fruits as well, stuff like that. So yeah, that's gonna be up there in price. It looks like she does powerlifting. Yeah, man. That's a big ass dog, bro. And I want like two of them suckers, man. But the biggest thing is I got to do like the fencing around my house. So I want to get those like electricity fences, and I'm hoping that'll be enough for like a dog this size, or like dogs this size, because I don't want to have to turn the collar up too high or anything else like that. But yeah. Anyways, that's what I've been looking at, and I want two of those. So now we have this, right? Now let's do a console.log, and I'll finish this off stream as I work into the night, and I'll probably work on this over the weekend as well. So we're just getting started with this one here, and hopefully I won't be doing this over too many streams, because this is just again an MVC. We'll see what happens. But what we can see here, this is what the argv variable looks like, right? Like this is pretty much how it looks, and this is how it's broken down. Essentially, with argv, like it's a JSON object. So if you have like see, this is good, because I can't have, say, for instance, a capital F. Well, let's see that. Let's see what a capital F does. Let's see. A capital F will match that. Capital F rotted. So we're going to this here. So dot F, dot lowercase f, and dot lowercase t. And let's see, I haven't seen that with like capital letters in JSON objects. Bumbleclad. All right, cool. So if I wanted to, I can have a dash F. So we'll call this capital F big rotted. Big rotted. So let's see what happens with spaces as well. And then little rotted. All right. My dog said rotted. So we could see that it gets the first portion of the string. So that means this is like testing our input. Like, okay, the string has to be quoted and all this other stuff, right? All right, cool. So the string does have to be quoted, which is fine. And we'll put something in here for, and we don't have to do all these if statements. We could just address all of these. We could address all these ourselves. And we could actually put this in a nice JSON object and then address it from there. Actually, we don't even have to put in a JSON object, because it already is in a JSON object. We just have to pull it out and extract it. All good. I still prefer nature and animals to most humans. Yeah, I'm starting to get that way too, man. I had problems with mommy dearest, and she, I don't know, it's kind of crazy, you know. We talk about this stuff, modern women in, um, so yeah, you see big and then little rotted. We talk about modern women in our society here, and it's crazy to see the modern woman of the 70s, 80s, and you know they're getting older and how they act, and they just can't be wrong. It's kind of crazy to see all that. All right, so now we can have big rotate, little rotate, so on and so forth, and we could do things. We should be able to do things like double double character triggers or long triggers. So your single character triggers are usually your single letters, but then you have your long triggers, which is more than a single character. So even if it's just two, it's like long triggers. So that'll be like if you're dealing with Docker, and I've been dealing with Docker containers lately too, which is again good exposure. Um, Dealing with Docker, we have things like Docker space container space and then ls or actually no, with firewall d dash command you have like dash dash list dash ports, and those are like long triggers. So you can have triggers like that. So let's see if we can make a trigger like that. So we're going to do an fr, and that will be big rotted. Should work because essentially it's just a JSON object, right? So FR, no, we can't do that. Oh, wow, look at that. So it looks at them as separate. So F being there, it just says it as true. So we can also do things like truthy, like if something is there. So that's good to know because we're just looking at this output here. But so F is there, it's true, but then the R takes on whatever is defined here. So we can have long triggers. I'd probably have to look it up. You probably can do it, but don't need it right now. But it would be good to know that we could do like long triggers. Caribbean is the same in that respect. Yeah, my mom is. I'm Jamaican, man. My mom and dad are both Jamaican, born in Glengall, St. Catherine. Excuse me for that, guys. Yeah, I was born in Glengall, St. Catherine. So, or no, I wasn't. They're from Glengall, St. Catherine. I was born in the U.S. But yeah, it's kind of crazy to see that type of stuff, man, especially from your own mom and like having to go through those things there. But it is what it is. All right, so can't have double triggers. Doesn't work. And for us to get it to work, we probably have to figure something out. So let's not worry about that for now. But we can have our single triggers, right? So here we could take argv and then get the value from each one of those, right? Then what we'll do, let's write our search for count function. So uh, if argv, we can do some case statements, but we're probably gonna do a lot of nested ifs. It'll be, oh nice, from Barbados here. Okay, yeah, man. I mean, listen, Jamaican women are very like they're very stubborn, man, and they're very rough and stuff like that. So it's crazy to deal with them. I've had to deal with a lot of Jamaican women. It's just like, bro, you're not worth the headache, bro. Come on, it's not. Argv dash j or dot j, and if actually we'll write this as guard statements. So if or not, so not rv-j, and then we're going to do console.log. Ooh. Yeah, we're going to do this as a multi-line here because we probably want a return statement here so we can get out of this if statement. and just throw ourselves out of this. So return. So we'll just have that return statement there. But we're going to do a classic guard statement. And then in this guard statement, please include a test. So return, please include a email or use -f and -e. So if not RJ, oh, so maybe we want to take the file first. And this is just like thinking about like how we want to actually make this. By the way, you mentioned not liking VS Code. It's a toss up between that and Sublime. Yeah, I feel you. When I say like, it's just not what I prefer. I can work in VS Code, but I always go back to Screen, terminal session with Screen and Nano, and just run my code that way. I think VS Code adds a lot to the top of it that I just personally don't need, or sorry, I just personally do not use. But I definitely know it's required in maybe larger deployments or something like that, or larger coding houses where there's a whole bunch of things that check, and there's a whole bunch of things that uh, not triage, but pre-processors for files and stuff like that. But for me, my stuff is always so small that I can get away with just using Screen and Nano. And I could do a lot more with this in terms of like having multiple screens. Like really, you just log into whatever server you're working on. I don't have to have anything local per se. And then I can always have a screen that I can come back to. Like I said, you know, I have screen sessions in here that I didn't even know about, but that I forgot about that are from 2019, man. So if you have your server, your development server always up, and your server, your VS or VPS provider is always up, yeah, I mean, you'll never really, you know, have to. You always have the same environment to work out of, which is nice. But that's me though. All right, so we want to check if a f-j is in there, right? And then we could probably do a nested check after that. Okay, cool. All this out. That's not needed. Please include an email file or use -f and -e. This is -f-e. So if that's there, if not J, and we could do a nested if. So if not J, easier way is just to do a nested if in this case, and this is just me trying to get past this and not be creative. I'll just use a nested if, and so if not J, and then if arg. So we'll do if not argvj, and then we'll do capital F and capital E. So that's our to and from. Oh shoot, and T. There we go. Please include email file or use E and F or F and T. Okay. Return. All right, cool. So if that, cool. So let's test this. Oh, okay. That should be a or. because we want both of the either one of those to exist. Oh, yeah, I have to think about that. Yeah, I have to think about that. That's gonna be a problem. T. So then else. It's getting up on that 45-minute mark. So, Tom, if you want to get your stuff set up, man, let me know. Yeah, VS Code is sort of a hybrid IDE. You can write software with it if you want. Yeah, you can actually do a lot of stuff. Like, it's not just a text editor, but it's like a text editor that has modules that you can connect. You can bolt other stuff onto as well. But I have actually read some stuff about how VS Code, even if you have like an i9 processor, or no, you'd have to have in some coding shops with all the different modules that you can include with it and run with VS Code that's constantly checking your code in and out and checking and doing linting to your code or anything else like that. Sorry for moving away. Doing linting or anything else like that. It may be something where you're going to have damn near a gaming machine to run VS Code for your organization because of all the stuff that might be required to run to work with their code base the way they want it in terms of their code pipeline. So console log argv.f. All right, big rotted. All right, so if it has either or, so if it has, if, oh, okay, so I have not, okay. If, and we want these to evaluate the true. So let's think about this. If you don't have a file, I want you to be able to use the F and T so that you can put in your own email address at the command line, right? So what if you don't have F, but you do have T? Or what if you don't have T, but you do have F? Do you need both of them? So argvf and argvt, you might do, you have to just change this. And I could have just changed, been a little bit different the way I looked at that, but let's just say if it is true. Let's work on argv.f and, or capital F and capital T. Like if it's true, then argvf and argvt, right? I'm saying argv, which is just the name of this variable or this JSON object in this case. All right, so T. Please include an email file. Triggers together. And do we want this? Yeah, it already prints out on the new line. Okay. Oh, okay, so. All right. Yeah, if you're going to be doing any heavy workloads, I recommend 8 gigs of RAM and at least an i5 or higher. Bro, that's low now. That's crazy but that's low now. Like now you're almost like 12 and 12 gigs of RAM and an i5. And then if you're working on, certain types of or, you have a certain type of coding pipeline for checking stuff in and processing code or pre-processing code. Maybe you're running Docker containers and all types of other stuff. Yo, an i7 is low. Like you're looking at probably doing i9s. At my last job, we had like all i9 processors, man. At my current job, these laptops are beasts, but they're like, yeah, this is an i7 processor. And, it does very well. I don't have any problems. I'm not really running anything locally. All my stuff is remote in terms of configuration. But, if I was doing like, I've heard some shops where they're like, man, we've had problems where, I think it's I think this is on one interview, and then I heard this on a video. But they've had problems where VS Code itself was taking up so many darn resources. Excuse me, taking up so many damn resources and causing slowness in their build process or the local build process. Because sometimes you'll do a local build test, and then it can get shipped to or pushed to the branch or pushed to the repo or something like that, or committed or merged uh, in GitHub or something like that. All right, cool. So yeah, I wrote 42 lines. Out to the Bumble class. All right, so we have F and we have T, but let's not have F. Let's not have T. All right, cool. So you have to have F and T together. And if you have F and T, it'll be something like we ignore lowercase f and lowercase t, so something like that. All right, cool. So and we might have something here that says before anything else. F and F T are ignored when using T and T. All right, so then this could be a guard statement. So if again, like we're just building like the basic structure here, and we're gonna make this an OR. Oh man, now we're having like freaking IDE wars here. Not really wars, but I'm just saying. There's drama in the chat. Oh my god. All right, GIF versus GIF. I found VS Code was running slow, and I had 8 gigs of RAM reinstalled, and after updates, better. Oh, okay, cool. And there's like some things you can do, like turn off certain modules. But if you have like modules like SSH, so you could run a SSH into a system, or mount certain systems via SSH, or mount file systems via SSH through VS Code, or any other type of like constant linters. If you're actually doing anything like that's monitoring the saving of files and rerunning your Node.js application, doing SSH to systems that you're running code on as well. Yeah, stuff like that will happen. Or doing that, like working with those type of connections, it will slow your system down, especially with VS Code. Sublime, I'm not sure if you can do all that stuff in Sublime. Let me know. I don't know if Sublime you can do modules. I really love Sublime. Sometimes I find myself editing in Sublime and then use a dev environment to compile and run on the side. Oh, okay. Yeah, and that's kind of like for me in Windows, Sublime, I use Notepad++, right? And I like Notepad++ because then I can work through like bits of data, or like multiple lines of data, text files, or anything like that. I can work through them pretty fast using using Notepad++, doing just Control H to replace a string, and then replace all the end of a string, and delete spaces, or all the spaces in a file, or all the new line characters in a file, and replace all of those with another character, or just nothing. So that definitely I like doing stuff like that. And with VS Code you could do that as well. It's actually more powerful, I believe. At Stan Sheldon, I haven't worked with Sublime much, but if it does work for you, yeah, man, it's kind of like whatever you're like into. And you have to also understand, like, you had like Notepad++ for a while, but then you had like things like Sublime, and then VS Code came out, and you started using that. And some people are still using Eclipse. If you're like a Linux guy and you have like an IDE and you're using like Eclipse was like a big one back in the day. I don't hear much about it, but actually I don't run in those circles much either. So there's also that part. All right, so let's test some of the things here. Dash T. Right. Oh, forgot. Please include F and triggers together. Please include F and T triggers together. F and T. If no J. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense then. All right, cool. I gotta put in T. All right, cool. So F and T are, let's see here. All right, cool. All right, so we take that. Now let's actually work on, I don't see anything from Tom. So Tom, where you at, bro? Tom Webb? Let me know, man, if there's anything. I haven't worked in Notepad++ in a while. Yeah, man, that's usually what I use on for the most part. Eclipse is still around. Wow. Well, I take that back. If you're doing a lot of Java work, I could see somebody using it. Oh, okay. Yeah, Eclipse is like old school, man. I started to get into it, but I didn't get that coding itch then. All right, so don't hear nothing from Tom, so we'll continue on. Let's work through our search for account name. And what we can do is if we wanted to, we can actually, so if J, and this is like really nasty because it's like, it's all nested and stuff. And even with some of this stuff, like even though it's nested, which isn't too bad, you have a lot of branch statements in here in terms of your if statements, but it would be good to like consolidate these to functions and then run it from there. And that's just kind of how like you keep your main loop or your main function a little bit cleaner. And then you just take in all your other functions and go from there. So else. All right, cool. And then what we're going to do is if J, we're going to need fs read and read and write. So let's get that. I don't need to do synchronous fs read. I do have to look up how to do fs read again. Syntax for it. All right, and then all right, so we're going to take in the F file. We could do everything within it, but we could probably do an asynchronous call. I don't think fs read has an asynchronous call yet. Oh, actually, let's minimize this. Node.js fs. All right. Read file, and then we have our callback. We're not going to have a callback here. We're just going to read the file. And then we're going to do our search function within that. All right, cool. Actually, all right, fs read, and that file would be that would be arg v dot j. All right, cool. argv.j error and data, and then console log data. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to test our file, and then what we're going to have a file in our current directory, which would be, where is it? Where are we? Oh, okay, so we're going to do MVP. Yes, async and await multi-core programming. I don't know. In the latest version of JavaScript, they were talking about it, and I posted that in the chat the other day, or in my community tab. I posted a little a video of the Node.js developers meetup, or the core developers meetup, and they go through some of the issues that are posed in, I think, the GitHub or whatever their repository of choice is, and they start to resolve those, or make changes and suggestions based off of what people have put in there, or work through actual problems with the core functionality of Node.js. It's good to watch those because then you're a part of something, which is, or you're part of like a bigger group, which is kind of nice. Actually, let me turn off my camera because you guys can't see me, which is fine. But it's really cool to be a part of that and get into it. But with that being said, supposedly you're supposed to have top level async awaits. So you can use the async, you can use the await keyword, or top level awaits. So you can use the await keyword without having to wrap it in an asynchronous function. But if I wanted to, I could wrap it into this. I could have an asynchronous function. I can make this an asynchronous function here, which is this. So I could do like async, and now this function is asynchronous, and it'll return whenever it returns. So we'll just keep that asynchronous and do that. So that's a good thing to have there. So we could do let data email accounts equal, and we could do this. Oh, let me get that. Yeah, look for top level await, or top level await, and essentially you just don't have to wrap it in an asynchronous function. But what's really happening behind the scenes is that, as I said, JavaScript itself, all your code is ran in one big ass function. So what really happens is that that function that you're running all your code in just has an asynchronous at it. So, for instance, so like you can have a function, and then your code, but this function will just have like that, but you don't see it. And then so your code, and then with your code you can have, actually no, you could do, as I said, top level awaits. So you can do an await right off the bat, without having to do any of that other stuff. All right, I was just looking at something here. Yeah, this here. So I don't want to do a callback. I don't have to do a callback per se. Asynchronous reads, region, the read file. I don't think I have an async read file. There are tools that are in place where you can actually do asynchronous reads, and then you could apply it to, or not apply it, but oh man, what do you do with that? You can assign it to a variable if you wanted to. Excuse me. So even with this read file, oh god, get out of here. Even with this, oh man, it's just like, sucks being this rusty here. But I know with this read file, we'll just go with this for now, and we'll make that asynchronous or prettier later. Yeah, I've been using async await in C# for a while now. Oh, okay. Yeah, a lot of this stuff that I see in Java, I'll be like, oh yeah, Java has this cool stuff, and it's just like, oh yeah, that was like in my language from like 1980 or some shit. And I'll be like, oh well, I mean, that's cool too. Everybody, win for everyone. Just go back to my JavaScript hovel and to be like, oh, I thought I was special. So, read file. All right, cool. So we're just going to get this going, and then MVP, and then we're going to do mail accounts.json. Cool. So what that is, F encoding. So we have to have our encoding type, which would be UTF-8. And then that should translate that, because if you do it, it'll just read it out as a buffer. But if you do UTF-8, it'll actually read it as data. So then data, and then probably like dot name. I think there's like duplicate. There should be duplicate things in there with name in there. Name. Oh, well, hey, wait. Dot name. So the data should be that, and then name dot 0365. I think that should be it. Oof. Let's just read out data and see what it gives us. It should give us a JSON object, and then we can iterate through that. Cool. So it gives us our JSON object, and then now we have to write a loop to iterate through that. Because if I just do like name, I don't have anything that is predefined. Like for instance, 0365 and then a JSON object within it. I do have the name here, but I need to write a search function. All right, cool. So with our data now we're going to write a search function. And we can write our validation for our JavaScript. I do have that in another piece of code here. So let me just go to my Gamer project and pull that out. Core should be some of my core functions here. Check Mongo. All right, validate JSON. All right, so sometimes I have like a set of core functions, and I'll have stuff like validate JSON. And what's nice is that, and this is, I failed an interview because of this, so I've been doing this ever since then. I haven't done anything in my blog in forever. But validate JSON, and what I would do is have a file, or not a file, but data, obj, because the file is read somewhere else. So, no, let's have the file read in here. I don't know if I'm going to need this file anywhere else, but it would be good to have it read in here as well. So that's fine. Yeah, let's have that file read in here. All right, so we're going to take it out of here. And all right, if JSON, validate JSON. So if, and we'll have our FS read in here. And that's like, you see how I just had to like erase all those like spaces and stuff. You know, something like a higher. Oh man, I got all my code showing. I'm sorry about that, guys. Or I got my the comment showing. I'm sorry about that, guys. But if we had something like, you know, VS Code, Sublime, Notepad++, even, we could do multi-line deletes, where we could just delete, you know, like we just select multiple lines, go down, and then go from there. In fact, let's view that, for instance. And we could do stuff like this. In this, it's Shift Alt, and then I can select move like this. I can move horizontally across lines. Select whole lines, you know, select portions of a line. So that makes it a lot easier. And then I can delete or type in the same thing on all of those lines, which is really nice. But that's the nice thing of having a more robust IDE, such as a VS Code, Sublime, Notepad++. If you consider Notepad++ some type of IDE or text editor, or a robust text editor. JSON, JavaScript notation, and a good way to store data in a file. Yeah, and it's also like it's just to me it's a little bit nicer, cleaner, more descriptive. Actually, well, not more descriptive, but nicer and more flexible. It has a lot of flexibility in JSON. There's a lot of things you can actually do in JSON. You can have functions as your value in JSON and your key value pairs. You can have other data structures or references to other variables in there. That's always a nice thing. Is it because JSON standard can pretty much be used across languages, frameworks? I mean, for me answering that, and AB Media, of course, you answer for sure, bro. But me answering that, what I like about JSON, yeah, you could use in other languages. It's known as different things in other languages, but especially when you're working in JavaScript, it's just natural. It's native. You don't have to bring in things like a JSON slurper or something like that, which you have to do with like things like Apache Groovy. Um, you don't have to do any other libraries that read JSON. It's just native in JavaScript. But what's nice is that the flexibility and all the other things that you can do, and you can have nested JSON objects and put a lot of data in that. I like XML, but JSON is way more efficient. Wow, XML, man. I'm not an XML fan at all. I haven't had to use it much, but I'm not a person that likes to use XML for anything if I can like avoid it, you know. All right, so we're gonna take in RVJ. And and what we're going to do is console log data, but first we're going to validate our JSON. So if validate JSON, and with this code, we put in our object and our object gets tested. So that object will be data here in this case. And we're just validating our JSON. So if validate JSON and then, or if validate, so if not valid JSON, here we go. If not valid JSON, console.log, and we're just putting our guard statement. Nodes. Invalid JSON. Okay, so that happened. So it checked the JSON, and what happened here? Oh, nothing happened. So we have to, if valid court note if triggers, please use. So we need to do search for account name, and we're gonna put in, in this case, oh, I should not be addressing rv.j directly. I need to address file and data, and then search string, and then after that, now I can search. I can do my loop here. All right, cool. So that'll be the spot for our loop. And what we're gonna do is search for account name, and this should return something for us. So in this case, since we got a read file, this is an asynchronous function, or we're gonna make this an asynchronous function, and we want that to, I think we could do a return. Oh man, the rust is showing. Turn this. Actually, we'll just do some consoles for now, and then I'll do some returns here in a little bit, or have it return actual data, because this should return a piece of data here. And this is an asynchronous function, so we can do an await name, and then we could do arg.j. And why I use argv is just because that's how I see it. Oh shoot, I'm sorry. We'll catch the rest on replay. Have a good night. Have a good one, folks. Hey, same to you, bro. Thanks for taking this time out of your studying to watch my stream and watch me struggle. Stan Shelton, yeah, it's just more efficient format. You can more easily convert it back to the type of objects you're using, even in other languages other than JavaScript. Okay, cool. I'm not super experienced with other languages like I could do Python a little bit, but and I formerly did PHP years ago. I don't do it as much anymore though, and actually I don't do it at all anymore. And things like C or compiled languages, no. I would like to use Go though, or have like a Go based project. And my search string would be, and this is where let from equal, spelled the weight improperly there, and so from and to, from to. All right, so argv. I've used JSON to send data back and forth between the back end to the front end, like converting data structures in Java for use in JavaScript. Need to learn more, AB. Yeah, man. And that's why I like, just having a stack of some sort, a Java-based stack, or a JavaScript-based stack, I should say, to be actually correct. But I like having those type of stacks because then you can actually do things like, let's actually. You could do things like what you're talking about, right? And it's a little bit easier because it's native. All right. Get rid of this. Kind of getting ahead of myself here. And I just kind of want code to work here before I end this stream. Search for that. And -t. So that -t, maybe I want O365. Cool. Good. So it printed it out twice. Why did it do that? If error. J. Yeah, why would it print it out twice? Where do I have this running twice? Async. Async function. Oh, okay. That's no. Shouldn't console log twice invalid JSON. Yeah, I don't know why it's printed out twice. Let's see here. Else. If error, validate JSON, return true, return false. There is it. Okay. I wonder why it's returning twice. Stan Shelton agreed. Back in the day with XML, you used to have to write a bunch of code to convert it to the data that you need. JSON makes it way easier. Yeah, for sure. Especially if you use JSON with like things like there's a library. It's like XLSX to JSON or something like that, and you can convert it back and forth, or CSV to JSON. Those things are somewhat compatible, if you will. All right, so console log. Yeah. What the hell? I'm wondering why this thing's running twice. Oh, okay. It must have had this stuff in there. Weird. Okay. Not weird, but okay, good. All right. I didn't save the file. I was like, what the hell? What the deuce? All right, so now let's do, I believe the function we're looking for is a for in. JS For in. For in is a statement iterates over enumerable properties of an object. Perfect. All right, cool. So for in, basically with a for in, now I should be doing for n in data. So that'll be our object, or addressing our object, or the data of our object. All right. And then if n equals search string console.log. We're gonna search for so let's get n. Oh, we need to do n.name. Okay, so n. All right, cool. I was like, what am I missing here? Because n will, if you have an object of objects, yeah, JSON is very good with numbers, which is a big plus. I haven't tried with like large numbers, like your big ints and stuff like that. I never knew about that. I never thought about that actually at all. Never knew or thought about it. So thanks for that. And actually explain it a little bit. Like, how is it good with big numbers? If you can, if you want, drop an article or something like that. Let me know if I have to give you a wrench or anything like that to drop an article. And those articles are always good, guys, because then that helps other people in the that are watching the playback and stuff like that. I always like to drop those articles. In fact, speaking of dropping articles, actually no, the article that I've been looking at is actually in the description, so you can always check that out. Hello, when I see when I see XML, I run in the other direction. I brought an XML book for a few years ago. It's called collecting dust. I've never been an XML guy, man. Like, even trying to do like XML to, but XML is like very descriptive and you could do a lot with it. But I like a JSON object personally. And what's nice is with JSON objects, you can repeat the structure as well, which you can probably do with XML. But JSON objects play well in in arrays also. So that's a nice thing. So n will be our instance, within that array. So for instance, if we wanted to see how that looks for a for of loop or a for in loop, we could just do console log in, and it'll iterate through not an array, but it'll iterate through the JSON object as if it's an array, and then print out each one of these. So as you can see here, it has the curly brace that encapsulates, or it's nested within or encapsulates these other objects, kind of like what you would have with an array. But in an array, I don't want to have to like iterate through all of these. Or actually, no, it's kind of the same difference, but I would have to iterate through all of these using an array. And with an array, some other things are a little bit nicer, or some functions are available with an array, such as using a for each or something like that, which you shouldn't be using. You should use, those are array-based or high order functions that are array-based. And if anything, yeah, I could probably use an array for this, but I like to use a for in, because what I'm going to do is actually search for a name, a matching name. So if I do a for in and just console out each one of these objects within this, it'll actually console out that entire array. So let's do that. Let's see here. What the fudge? I was not expecting that. Why did it do that? Console log n in data. Maybe I am addressing it wrong. For n in data. All right, for n in data. Should I? It's data.n. What I'm missing here. What? All right, let's look that up. So far, oh, okay, var prop. All right, so I don't even think I need that keyword for like, I don't need the let keyword in this. I don't think I did. I didn't think I did. Let. Right. Alrighty. Quirky. Where's, oh, here it is. For in object, console log, object property. Huh. Oh, okay. Ugh. Oh, all right, cool. Call that wrong then. So console log n. Yeah, okay. All right, cool. So n, so data and and then I should be able to address it as like this here. What I could do is I can, to make it a little bit easier, so let name. Okay, object name. I just do this, it'll be easier. I would say cleaner more than easier. So name dot name. No, I want to address the entire object. So name dot name. Object name. Yeah, that's fine. Object name. Again. Okay, there we go. That's a better word. So account object. One of the big pains with XML was converting values to number types. With JSON, it saves the original number type, and you don't have to worry about it. Oh, okay. So like number types, like actual numbers versus a number as a string, or a string that gets converted to a number, or massaged to a number, stuff like that, I guess. All right. So if oh no, we want to. And we want the entire object. There we go. So this should be it. Why is it printed out like that? That is weird. Maybe I need like parse it as JSON or something like that. JSON.parse. All right, cool. Data. So sometimes you have to encapsulate it with this. So it is proper JSON. So let account data equal JSON data. Right. And then that way I could just do account data in account data in count objects. Right, cool. JSON is not a function. All right, let's look this up. JSON data type JSON. How to read external and local JSON. JSON.parse. Okay, cool. I wasn't sure if it was .parser. Well, I mean, I had it in my head, but definitely didn't use it. So JSON.parse. All right. And I think that should get us what we want. In JSON at position 3, anonymous. Read file parsing. Undefined to count data. data and JSON.parse data. Okay, cool. So that file, although it's valid JSON, it is not. All right. So one thing, shit, man, I keep doing this. I'm so sorry, guys. Yeah. I love that let keyword in JavaScript. It solves a lot of problems. Yeah, in terms of scoping, for sure. In terms of scoping, what he's talking about is scoping and lexical domains or lexical scopes. So the let keyword is local, and then var can be used as global, and then you can have constant, which is can be used just about well, it can be used anywhere. Let can be used anywhere as well, but because even I think even a let is global, but it doesn't go past the whatever the interpreter's lexical scope. So it stays within a function, but it should be able to be inherited. The problem is that you have like variables that bleed into other lexical scopes. So even though it's got validated as JSON, this is not valid JSON. So and I kind of knew that, but I was hoping I can get past it. So let's get our MVP file here. And this is like things like this. We'll have to go through this. Oh, excuse me. Oh. All right, JSON position 3. Yep, that's true. Now let me look up a proper.json file. I have it somewhere. System calls. Damn it, man. You know what? Yeah, let's do this. There's a quick way around this. I don't have to do all this stuff. I won't say it's a cop out or anything, but I want to get something working here. Go to the gym, come back, work on this some more. This is like a spare time thing for me. But you can do require. If you use a require keyword, you can skip a lot of this stuff. Just try not to use that. But with the require keyword, it will interpret JSON for you. If you do require, it'll actually interpret the JSON for you or parse the JSON for you. So you can do really let count data equal require argv.j and then run your loops against that. Let's see if I run into the same problem here. All right, cool. Console log. Let n in account data, and it should read it all the same. See where we fuck up at. All right, cool. Unhandled promise. Where's the promise at? Wait, what? All right, let's do this a little bit. Async function. All right, let's read through this error. If that's true. All right, so unhandled promise rejections are deprecated. Okay, deprecated. Search for account name 54. Cannot find MVP mail JSON. Okay. Mail accounts. Mail accounts JSON. Why can't you find that? It's right there. And then with it looking like that, maybe do that. Okay. Valid JSON strings. So this should be a valid JSON object, but the thing is, it's read from a file. Valid JSON in file. Give me a sec. Let me write this validly. Let me get an example here. So that's bullshit. How is that valid? Fucking bullshit. Response.json. Fetch, okay. But how is this valid JSON and my stuff ain't? Oh, that's kind of cool. All right, so let's see here. And it made it through my validator. My validator not validate? Let's see. rv.j. All right, cool. So we got this part right. If it's jumping out to any one of you guys, let me know. But this is my error token here. I can only think that, I mean, my JSON is just not valid, right? So nano MVP require a JSON file. So I shouldn't have to put these on the same line. What am I doing here? Okay. Okay. Let's look at what is valid JSON. Okay, it's not gonna be. Yeah. All right, let's put it in here. Jeez. Ugh. Oh man, what is it? I had to close these darn windows and screen. How can I do this, man? I don't want to go through all that. All right, cool. All right. So if I have this, it should be valid here. That is my case. All right. Parse error, line 1, expecting string got, huh. Boy, the rest of my shit falling off, baby. This is why you gotta do this on a regular basis. All right, cool. So, big object, object of objects. I want to do an object of an array or array of objects. Oh, it's a valid JSON in a file, man. What does that look like again? Yeah, it should be this. Huh. So expecting string and then, wow, okay. All right, so we gotta do it. So I'm addressing sub objects. Maybe I'm writing it like an array and it shouldn't be. All right, all right, that's good enough there. So what I should be doing, I guess, here is 365 count data server TLD. So this one should be like Gmail. And then mail, yeah, mail.com. All right, cool. And promise reject position token. Damn, what the fuck? Okay. All right, cool. That fixed that. Yeah, invalid JSON. All right, cool. So let's get back to our code here. So if I did this, I could use require, and that will interpret our JSON for us. And from there, I can do my code here for in object name, and then I can do console object. So I should get 3 objects. So this right here is the entire file. And now I'm going to address pieces of that file. Cool. So this addresses the pieces of the file. So that's good. And I can take this out. And then let's say we have a count object. And then if let's do this account object. Account object is object data is account object. We're going to do account object and then do server. Oh, okay. So that addresses everything within it. Name, and then if string matches, take this out because this doesn't look like it's needed. Go back to the original code. So name equals whatever the string is, and then console log account data that has the right name. So T365, and we're searching for T. All right, cool. Cool. So TLD. All right. Let's make this to where. Let's make this to where we're testing this properly. So TLD server 0365. Server 0365. Server mail. Let's do 0365's Gmail. All right, cool. All right, so yeah, we search for 0365. Search for nothing. Nothing should show, and that should produce an error. We search for mail. It brings up the record for mail. Okay, cool. So we got now we got it addressed properly. It's reading the file properly. I have my JSON formatted properly. That's another thing. But yeah, so that should be good. I don't know why that didn't. I mean, I'm like questioning why that didn't work, but it's just like obvious. Jesus. All right, cool. So that's good. So this should loop through, find our name, for name equals search string, console log name, search string. If for what the fuck was that? God dang. That scared the shit out of me. I got too much light here. Well, I need a light for my keyboard, but oof. All right, cool. Let me get back to it. So, I need a dog. Ain't nobody gonna run up with these big ass dogs in the yard. Fuck you, me. So if name is not search string, for let so if I think we could do a break in this. I don't know if, oh shit, can we do a break in a for in? I do a return at least. So console log. What I want to see is if it stops. So sometimes you could do a return like to kill a loop. I want to see if it does console log. So I just want to see if it actually iterates through the rest of the loop. Others mail. Cool. So it doesn't. So it only goes through if it needs to and then returns once it finds it, and then that breaks the loop. Now, if you use like a for of, like for instance, for of almost acts like a for each, but with for of, you could use break and continue, which is nice. Otherwise, you're gonna have to use, a dirty old for loop and define it accordingly and stuff like that. Okay, cool. Stan. You could switch over to includes instead of equals equals. Oh, okay, yeah, for sure. Um, so with includes, so yes, and what I'm doing that will work. The only problem I see is if I thought about that, includes will search that string and find a match for it within that string, while equals should be the exact string. That's the only thing I could think of. But yes, that will work for anybody else. But see, and that's why it's like, it's cool about programming. It's like, okay, so many ways to skin a cat, so to speak, because I can just go through and be like, all right, cool, this will work, this won't work, or this works like this, but I needed to do this, stuff like that. So we can get rid of all this file code here, shorten that up a little bit. Let account data equal argv, and just do a require, and that's just using Node.js and how it uses it. Stan, okay, you agree with me? Okay, cool. I like to get things like that in terms of like the info. Like to get other ways of looking at things, but then also I was like, why didn't I do that? Besides preference, like a part of it is just really preference of like, hey, I usually like doing it this way. Oh goodness, sorry for the sniffles, guys. Man, this has been bad. All right, cool. Return console log count name. Okay, great. Console log others, and we see others are not being processed as it goes through the array. And the thing about JSON arrays, even though this stuff, you can see others, and then it gets to the last one. Sometimes the JSON array that you're getting, you can't it's not like, or sorry, JSON array. The JSON object that you're getting is not like an array, because an array should always have not always, but it usually has the same order if it's producing the same type of data. But then if you have like a JSON object, and again, that's not always true. That's why you have these search functions. But then if you have like a JSON object, when it's coming from an asynchronous source, depending on how that asynchronous source is building or retrieving that data, it may get that data like it will not be in alphabetical order. It will not be sorted by any means or anything like that. And then also there might be some things that are missing from it, so that'll mess up the sorting. So if you have A through Z and then it's missing an R, and you say I want something at position 15 or whatever position R is at, it's gonna mess it up, which is why you have things like you have to do a for loop and then search through that JSON object. Okay. So search for account name. So now that I got the account name, we can name of account in JSON file. Okay, cool. So we do have to do some stuff like this. So you have to have some guards here or some checks. F. So if not F and not T, or no, actually it should be or, either or. I have a guard statement here, so we don't need this. Console log. No, please include when using -J, please include -F and -T triggers together. And let's make sure this is right in terms of the logic here. So like if it's not F nor, okay, so if it's either or, I have to include it. All right, so let's do that. All right. And that's another thing here. So with this guard statement, yeah, I will need curly braces because I want it to return and not do anything else. So we can just have a return statement and that'll break us out of this. and shouldn't process anything else. Uh, so that doesn't process anything and gives us our error here. So please, when using -J, please include a -F. Account key. Account key. Okay, cool. All right. So argv.j and t. So it's going to search for that. Now it's consoling, right? What we want it to do, we want this to be reusable. We want it to return. We want it to return this information here. So instead of console, and that's our test stuff here. So we'll keep that for now. We're going to return account name. There we go. Jesus, I need to take like freaking NyQuil. It's gonna be like such a horrible sounding stream. Somebody's gonna be like super annoyed and be like, "Bro, they clear their nose, bro. That's so hard to listen to." Myself included, because like I hate stuff like that. But for those that have listened thus far, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate the 3 that are listening or watching. That's really cool, man. Oh shit. I really need to get off of that. Okay. All right. Take the phone off the charger. All right, so return name. This is the asynchronous function. So we have to await it and let count object or obj equal that. Console log. And I want it to, just to test my async await here, I want it to return, what's it called? Promise. So I'm just doing that for testing, make sure I've got this right, because async await's always been like a problem for me, even though it's actually pretty easily. I actually just came back, had went and got something to eat, trying to catch up to what you're doing. Oh, okay. Yeah, man, I'm feeding for that Thai place we went to, man. That was pretty good. That was pretty freaking good. Definitely gonna be like, I need some of that right now. Soup, probably like Thai spicy or super Thai spicy right now to clear out my damn nose, man. That stuff had me leaking in the restaurant. Oh man, bro, woo! I won't even get into the details, man. But that was pressure in the bathroom, man. I was like, whoa, I think I got that all over the place. All right, when using -J, okay, cool. T. Excuse me. Okay, I don't like how that looks. So let's add a new line character. All of these. All right, cool. So nothing there. And that's probably doing what I want it to, because I have this account object. I'm expecting it to return a promise, which is why I wrote it like that. Ooh, I don't like that. T. That's super Thai spice, no joke. Hell yeah. Okay, cool. Let's see what we got here from Stan. Why not return just name instead of account data name? Um, let's look at that. Account data name. Oh, so that's just a force of habit. Account data name. So if, and that's kind of how you want to do it, because so account data name. Yeah, that's kind of how you want to do it. Oh, wait, hold on. Search string name. Oh, because name itself is the name of the key and not the actual object itself. So when I do account data name, that's like me doing account data dot 0365, right? It's the same thing. And with this notation, using the square brackets, you could use a variable to fill in what the actual name of a key is if you don't have it, or if that name of that key is derived from another area or something like that, or another call or something like that. So that's the equivalent of me doing this. Because if I return just name, it'll just return the key name. So for instance, console.log. You probably get it already, but I'm gonna just do it for the folks that don't get it. Yeah, so that should be it right there. And this is me failing at async awaits again. Search. All right, cool. What? So search for. WA. Okay. Yeah, JavaScript is weird like that. Yeah, JavaScript is weird like that. You have to do a lot of that because of the way of for in loop works, right? And it's just how how it produces all that information. So let's see here. For if name string, we do have something, and that'll be account name data. Okay. I hate when like things work 1 minute and then they don't work the next. So search for account name argv.j, argv.t. That's the file. If, and then if. So that lines up. That's good. What? When using J, please include -T in F triggers. Oh. Yeah, I'm like, you see, like, I'm reading. I'm not even reading my own errors, man. Jesus. There we go. Not, oh, shit. -F, -J, -T, -F, mail. Weird. So name is just the index position placeholder variable key, and will not suffice to return the value. Yeah, and it won't return the object that I want, which is the nested object. It'll return the name of the key that I supply it, aka or whatever position it's at within the object itself, because it treats the object itself as an array or converts it to an array of sorts. Probably just thinking about regular for loop, possibly, yeah. Let me see where I messed up here. So I have -T. Why is this? F. Okay, so if not dash F. Maybe my logic is wrong here. My if statement. Yeah, there we go. So my if statement was wrong, and that was causing that issue. All right, so cool. So this is what I'm talking about here. So we can see. So the first console will give me the object that I want, and the second console will just give me the name of that object or the key for that object. So in this case, I want the object that is named Office 365 or O365. And then in this case, this is the object that is returned. Excuse me. I think I just said that right, but I think you kind of get it. But yeah, that's basically what happens. You'll have those two different outputs. So one is addressing the name, and one is addressing the actual. One is addressing the name of the key, and one is addressing the actual object that is the value of said key within that object itself, which is known as account data. Good question. All right. Okay, so my errors aside, let's get this back here. Oh, object. Okay. All right, cool. So that returns an await. Um, that returns the await. So account object. So we could do from object, from account object, and we could do a to account object, to account object. And when it's to, it's T, and when it's from, it's F. And with this, we can return both objects if we ever needed to. So I can do, and this one. Oops. There we go. Console.log. All right, cool. So here, my two account is Office 365. And oh, let's do this actually. Let's do template literals. Gotta love template literals. So two are and $ curly brace, and then two, and we could do new line here. And we could probably do, yeah, new line here just to make that a little bit easier to read. Actually, let's put a space there. New line and two. See the chat going, so I'll get to that in a second, guys. To account object, from account object. Oh, yeah, let's encapsulate this properly here for our template literals. Yeah, object. And the thing is, what you can do is when you're doing this with your like console.log, you could wrap that, I think, in like, it'll be like JSON.parse or something like that, and it'll actually output the object for you. Or yeah, let's see. I think I could do JSON.parse, and that should do it. JSON.parse. And that will output my object here appropriately or properly. JSON.parse. Okay, that was totally fucking wrong. JSON, a position. Unexpected token JSON. What? Yeah, I should be able to do JSON. Let's see here. Yeah, for sure. Okay, Rich Addiction, you got it. Sweet. All right. This is definitely a good reference. The Mozilla Developer Network (MDN). Definitely a guide to JavaScript because I think it was like the Mozilla browser and the Spider Monkey was the first JSON or the first JavaScript interpreter. I think it was like Netscape or something like that, or Fire. I don't remember. I think it was Mozilla. I forget. MDN website is the best for me for understanding JavaScript. Yeah, most def. And it's a great reference, especially when you're doing like stuff like the for of or the higher order functions that they call it. Um, your for of, for ins, for each, stuff like that. Let's see what's wrong with this. I want a console log because you can console log JSON object. All right, so data the input console log stringify. There we go. So that should do it. Although, huh, I don't know. Let's see if this because I don't stringify. Doesn't feel right, but let's see. Stringify. Oh, wait, no, I don't need to do that. What I just do book. Ah, crap! I killed my session. Give me a second. Let me get this back up. We're almost to the end here, though. Anyway, so we got our triggers defined at least. A lot of explaining of stuff. So we got our triggers defined. Let's get this back up to the right size. To IE. Ooh. Again, this is one of the reasons why, like, having a screen session is like far superior to me than most IDEs because I could do this from my phone if I went to the gym or something or went anywhere else around the world. I don't have to really I don't really have to stop work per se, or I could pick up where I left off is the better way of saying that. So this is another reason why I definitely like using stuff like this. Strongify. Strongify is not a function. All right, here we go. All right, so we could see here our from and our to, they are different. So even if we had them at our from and our to are Office 365, 365. That's fine because sometimes you want to send to Office 365 from Office 365. Maybe you want to test like round trip between mailboxes or between within a mailbox or within an environment. That is definitely something that would be beneficial in some cases because then that can tell you if there's any type of system level bottlenecks or anything else like that. So that's good. We define that. Let's see here. Let me clean this stuff up, and I will go ahead and um, upload it or push it to the repo. Let's go here. This other stuff is good. Let's get rid of this because our asynchronous function is searching and returning an object. Search for account name. So that's good. And that's like, a little bit clean on the cleaner side is like, okay, we have like functions that are outside of it. We don't have to, and they're reusable and stuff like that. Also using the await syntax is nice. So now that makes it a little bit easier. We don't have to worry about callback hell. So that's another nice thing. All right, but I'll work on this over time here. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for tonight. I'm gonna relax for a second and then go to the gym. It's a little bit later now. Good. Yesterday it's like all these chicks were in the gym, man, and like using up all the squat racks and stuff, or the racks. I do have my own gym, of course. I just don't have it set up, and I don't feel like moving stuff around and then have to move it again when I put the floors in. But that's really not a good excuse. Also, I do like to go to the gym just because I can like meet people. aka holler at girls, because the best place to meet fat women is at the gym. Just letting you guys know. All right, let's see here. So if you were away, you would just SSH in and continue coding. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly why I like using Screen, because I could do stuff like that at any point in time. I've had to do that with like large data transfers, man, and you can't stay there. And the command has to continue going as long as the server's up. This command needs to run. So I run screen sessions, man, all day. So like even for instance, we'll detach from this, and if I do a screen dash ls, you can see I have screen sessions from 2019. I don't even know what's in those, but those are all detached. So 2019, 2020, 21, 22. Server has been up this entire time, 954 days. So that's like a really cool thing, man. You can go from anywhere. I remember like one time I had a big ass data transfer to do, and I was in Boca and I had to get back to the data center, but I was like, man, I need to see some titties and some ass, bro. Fuck this. So I set up a screen session, ran everything in that screen session, and I used Termius, which is what I use here now. Oh, that's got one. I use Termius, and with Termius, it has a phone app as well. I pay like $10 a year for it. I love it, so I always pay for it, or have been paying for a while. But you can have an app that works on iPads, cell phones, what have you. And with Termius, I was able to log into this server with my cell phone and watch the data transfer as it went along. And when it was finished, then I left the club. After I got done with my dances. But priorities. But yeah, man, that was one of the stories. That was one of the, like my that's like one of the biggest things for me with Termius. And if you have to watch any of that stuff or be on call or what have you, man, having that nice little screen session open, or even Tmux if you don't have screen available in your operating system's repository like CentOS, Red Hat, and stuff like that. You can use something like Tmux and then use its commands so you can actually split screens and do all types of stuff. But as you can see, I can just connect back to a screen with the screen dash X and whatever the ID for that screen is. So in this case, the last one, and you can actually name these screens accordingly too, or name these screens yourself. I never really do that though, so that's why I don't know what the hell these things are for. So I could do screen dash X and then set up my whole environment again. The only thing is you just don't get the same environment. One thing sometimes you have to do is detach from the screen and then reattach. So like you do a screen D, detach it from where it is and reattach it to where you are, because you'll have different screen sizes or resolutions, and it'll maintain the borders of all of this because of the resolution. Or the resolution of that computer. So if I actually viewed this on my phone, it's gonna like have weird scrolling issues, and some of the stuff's gonna be off the screen and have all types of issues. So what I do is a screen dash D or capital D, because I think dash D just does detach, and dash capital D does detach and reattach here if you can, or if possible. So that's an option. So that's a nice thing there. Right. Yeah, that's it for now, guys. I'm going to relax for a second. I'll code a lot faster or do a lot more of this, and also I have to do some mail generation stuff, and then suss out the server information or the JSON accounts file. Um, One thing I may or may not do is like things like API calls. Since this is an MVC, I don't need the features to work per se. I just need to say, hey, listen, this is how this feature would work, and it would generate stuff. And more importantly, the code that I'm going to focus on. Sorry for being far away, but yeah, no problem, Stan. I appreciate you guys watching. But the more important stuff is making sure that it can generate copious amounts of emails so we can actually test load. So maybe you want to do 1,000 emails and then have those 1,000 emails queued up to where it sends it out. Like maybe it's like an array of emails. And you can do that with I use SendMail, I believe. I think it's SendMail is the library that I use. But with SendMail, you can use that and um, send out emails, and you can iterate through that with an array. And then the emails are
JSON based. So like, or the configuration for the emails are JSON based, meaning that if I wanted to do like a to and from and all that other stuff, that's just one big JSON object with those keys and those key value pairs in it. So whatever the to is, whatever the BCC or the CC or what have you, all that stuff is in there. SendGrid? No, it's not SendGrid. SendGrid is like the service, but then there's like send. If you want to do like mail for Node.js, npm Inquirer, we went over earlier, but send. Um, oh man, send mail. Send mail without SMTP server. Where is it? Node send mail. Is this it? No, this is. Hold on. Let me I have it in one of my repos. I know there's post receive and package.json. There's mail parser, body parser. Damn, where is it, man? Is it mail parser? No, it can't be mail parser. Oh, I use this thing like all the time. Emails. This is a sub node mailer. There it is. Node mailer, and node mailer is a project. So node, yeah, I was totally off. Node mailer. It's pretty much kept up to date. So send emails from Node.js, easy as cake. I like using this because then where's all the? Do they have any examples? So you could define things like your host, the port, the secure, TLS, all this other stuff here. And then also, what's the good about using Node.js? Since I might have to. Some mail services only allow you to access mail services or allow applications or non-email clients to access things like send and receive and mailbox searching and stuff like that. You can only do that through the Graph API. For instance, Microsoft has a Graph API. You can only do it through that. So by using Node.js and using things like this, I can interact with older systems that use SMTP to send email, and then newer systems that require you to use a REST API. Nodemailer.com. Let's see. All right, cool. So with the documentation here, so you would set up your SMTP transport, and you can see here it has the port, host, off method, secure, TLS, ignore TLS, all that stuff. So if you have one of those servers that you don't have a proper certificate for, let's increase this font on this. So you can see here, let message, and then this is your whole thing here. And then your envelope, I don't know, use for mail address. Listed for, okay, you can, this is a little bit confusing because I don't use this, but there's like from to, but then there's a nested from to. So I don't really use that feature, but it's available. And then your transporter, and then this is where you transport. Like this is where you have all of your transporter code. So if I'm writing code here, or writing something to one, and then MVP JSON. So here I might have within this object a transporter object, and I'll always reference that object for all my transport stuff or all my transport key value pairs, right? And this is where I would have here transporter. Let's see here, SMTP transport. Port options default. So port, host, auth, and auth method. Let's see if I can get an example. Here we go. So we have an example here. Let me see if anybody's saying anything in the chat. I know this is a big thing of using these services to create HTML email.
I forget what the benefit is. The benefit is that you don't have to dirty your IP just in case anything happens. Also, they do a lot better things in terms of keeping themselves off a blacklist, so you don't have to worry about that. Essentially, you're abstracting away a lot of that. But Node Mailer, SendMail or SendGrid is a service like Mailchimp and all that, and you can send what's it called, emails, your marketing emails through that. But then Node Mailer, if I wanted an app to integrate or interact via email, send out emails to other parties or what have you, like you press a button on a web interface and then that sends an email, right? As opposed to doing an API call to send a tick or to create a ticket or anything else. With Node Mailer, it allows you to Node Mailer allows you to your actual application to authenticate with a mail server and then do whatever it needs to. So let's go ahead and look at this here. Take that out. So this is how my transport would possibly look, right? And this is good to have because, again, this is why you would use something like what's it called? An IDE, because I can do all this in like one command or select multiple lines and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I could select, yeah, I guess I could select multiple lines in this, but it doesn't work the same way. Like, I can't delete just one character out of a series of lines. But yeah, one of the big things for that is because you don't want to dirty up your IP address, and then you have to rotate through a whole bunch of IPs and stuff like that. They make it very hard to send spam, yet spam always gets through somehow, some way. Without setting up a mail server, or must I run a mail server? Yeah, you have to run a mail server for this, but your mail server could be, say, like an Office 365 account, a Yahoo account, or any other account that allows you to send email through port like 587, 465, port 25 if they still allow it, or if your ISP even allows it, stuff like that. So you can configure all of that here with all of your authentication. Now, if you're using Office 365, you would have to use what they call an app password, so your application can actually use this. But yeah, you're going to have a mail server. All this does is it allows your app to act as to send email, so you don't have to use SendMail on a local system or whatever other mail systems that you have. I think it's like SendMail is like the one on local systems. But it allows your app to, this is essentially, this Node Mailer is your client, and your app can now send emails through the client. Best way I can explain it. But yeah, I would have something like this in play, right? And then I would define all the stuff for my mail server. So some mail servers I can get away with authentication like this. So secure false, upgrade later would start TLS. Like I can change that to whatever, authentication mechanism or whatever encryption mechanism that is required by that mail service. All right. Yeah, so now that's really it. So I put this in, put an app password, and then go from there. And it's different for each interface. So maybe like one thing I would probably do is transport method. Transport settings. And so, for instance, SMTP, right? So my method would be SMTP for this. Or actually for Office 365, it'll be something different. It'll be like an API or something, what we'll use. But for like mail.com, bless me. For mail.com, it'll be like SMTP. And transport method here would be API. And then I can, do that from here too. And then with API, my transport settings, I might have like my keys in here. So this file I wouldn't upload to the repo. But I might, for this one, like I might not upload this file to the repo, but like I have like a protected file that I might not have that I won't upload to the repo. So we'll see how that all works and test it out. And you can export, what's it called? Exclude things using git ignore, so it doesn't upload for you. Okay, so geez, I think that's good, man. Let's run our code and see if it still works. Okay, that's a issue with the JSON, unexpected, and JSON at position. Okay. All right, so transport. And depending on the JSON parser, it will actually give you issues based off of uh, trailing, what's it called? Colon, or not colons, but commas. So sometimes you can't have a trailing comma. That's an issue. Or in this case, this is not good because I shouldn't have this here. That's another reason. But yeah, it'll look at it as improper JSON or invalid JSON. Let's do. Let's do Control Z. Ooh. Objective promise with the dot catch. Okay, I do need to have try catch blocks. That's one thing I definitely do not have. And I definitely need to have my standard objects. Yeah, you can use environment variables if you do push it. Yeah, what I usually do, I don't use .env. I don't or env. I usually use get ignore to do that. But if you actually have files that I think like either in your .env directory or ends with .env, you can get away with not using with not having to do that. And that's actually a cleaner way of doing it for when you have like various files or something like that, and they're all over the place. So you could just say, hey, like you could also in your .ignore you can have it as like .exclude or something like that. But sometimes I'm just like I'd be doing hacky shit that just doesn't require that, and it's not also what's it called? That is not industry standard. I want to fix this before I stop. So transport method, transport settings. Okay. Okay. That could be a problem there. Uh, all right, let's get rid of this here as well. And actually, let's take this out. We might have. I think we should have user. Should pass. And I think you need a key or a client key. App. You need an app ID. App key. I think that's all you need for API, but we'll do that as we go along. These things can be empty, and that is still valid. Should be. Ugh. unexpected JSON position 137 module extension MVC JS token in JSON at 137. So 137 and what though? 137. 137. I hate leaving things with errors. So thanks for sticking with me, guys, even though I said bye a while ago. Pressing MGC. Catch, try catch. Oh, this is why I need a try catch block. I'll put that in later. Search for account name. I'm here, but I have to log some stuff for a client before midnight so I can show Thursday timestamp. Yeah, man. Sometimes you gotta do that, man. Make sure you get it in. Get it in time. Unexpected token in JSON. Oh, okay. Oh, I gotta. Okay. For that. Is that all right? For that, there's that. Okay. Uh, always sick. If we're always going to the damn club, I guess. Hey, there we go. All right, so we got we got valid JSON there. Cool. So we can see our from will be this, and our to will be that. Cool, man. Hey, listen, guys. Thanks as always. I'll upload that in a second. I got to work some stuff out with my API keys for GitHub. I think my commit keys should be old by now, so I have to put in new commit keys. As always, thank you very much. Appreciate you guys. Love you all. If you guys have any problems or questions or anything like that, leave a comment. And definitely always bring it to the next stream. I will start be doing I'll start getting back to these streams. I kind of want to do something this weekend, but I'm not sure where I'm going to be this weekend, depending on like if I'm going to like get a dog or not this weekend. Me getting a dog this weekend would kind of be a stretch though. So I don't know if I'll do it. It depends on what the price is. If anything, I probably just need to calm my ass down and I'll get a dog later. We'll see. But as always, thank you very much. Appreciate you guys. Peace.